Hey there, my name is Anthony Romano, and I gotta tell you in this video the number one mistake you can make on a ketogenic diet. Now, I may have phrased this as, because I think of these titles and thumbnails after the fact sometimes, but this is the number one mistake you can make on a ketogenic diet, and it's the bodybuilder's keto diet, and it's how to actually do a ketogenic diet properly if you are a bodybuilder. So essentially, I'm going to talk about a lot of similar foundational concepts of keto here, but it's going to teach you a load if you can just truly wrap your head around and master these concepts. Okay, so the idea for this video came to me from a comment from a viewer, and essentially, well, I answered the comment, but this deserves a video because this is a very common approach that a lot of people take, especially if they're the bodybuilder type, and it always leads to people hating keto and claiming that, oh, I tried keto, I just didn't like it. Listen, if you try keto properly and don't like it, that's totally fine. But you have to realize what proper keto actually is. You have to try it properly, because if you try it improperly, that is where all the problems will begin. And this is also going to teach those of you who already know how to do it properly, how to do it even more precisely, right, for even better results, but also to understand the mechanisms of this much more effectively. So, sit back and enjoy. We have this comment where this person had basically suggested to me that they're doing, lean protein, protein shakes, BCAAs, and, they're not eating fish or beef. And that was essentially what this person, expressed to me from this comment, right? And now, although you don't have to, you don't have to do keto with fish or beef, or you don't have to do any of these common keto misconceptions, there are a couple other misconceptions I'm going to clear up here. Number one, a lot of people think, oh, this person's having too much protein, right? Or they're having these BCAAs, these whey protein, these chicken breasts. They can't do that. No, you can do that. You actually can have plenty of lean protein and plenty of protein in general on a keto diet. It's simply that too much protein is generally only a problem if there's not enough fat to digest it. So at the same time, I have another video called The Lean Protein Lie or something like that, where I explain fully how, your liver needs energy in order to digest protein. So a lot of times people will just jack up the protein and it does nothing for them, right? People always say that protein is the most thermogenic macronutrient. It requires the most energy to be absorbed. And this is fully true, and it's actually very applicable to this as well. So a lot of times people will say keto's a high-fat diet, which I've expressed unendingly on all my videos that it's not a high-fat diet, but it can be. Keto is a low-carb diet. You don't eat carbs, and then from there you can probably eat a lot of fat, because that's going to be your body's only energy source. And then from there you're also going to want to eat an adequate amount of protein. Now, what I had expressed to this person, what I basically responded was that although, this person could be eating the same foods they want, if they're not eating fish or beef or any other sort of fat source in their diet besides cheese, they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot, right? There are ways to do vegetarian keto and all these other variants, which I've helped plenty of people with. But the thing is, when we're talking about eating only chicken breast and only whey protein shakes and BCAAs, it comes with this mindset that a lot of people approach keto with, that, oh, I better eat a shitload of protein or else I'm going to lose my muscle. That's what people often think. And I'm pinpointing that mindset exactly, that approach, which I have the problem with and which I'm trying to fix, because a lot of people have that. So first of all, you don't need to worry about jamming down all the protein in the world, because ketones themselves are, even if not directly anti-catabolic, they have an anti-catabolic effect. And funny enough, they're structurally near identical to the structure of BCAAs. So people know BCAAs for their anti-catabolic effect, right? Their muscle sparing effect. And BCAAs are actually what's referred to as the ketogenic amino acids, which is funny enough because they don't require sugar and they can work and function perfectly well in a ketogenic environment. That's not the exact precise definition, but to give you an idea of how anti-catabolic the ketogenic state is, it's very damn anti-catabolic and protective of your muscle tissue. It's meant to be the preservation state, right? So when we're going back over to this comment, and a lot of people will do the multiple protein shake thing. And even though I've said in the past, there are proper ways and improper ways to time whey protein, multiple times a day is generally where you start to run into problems. To make things simple, what you have to take away is a lot of people think, oh, I can't have too much protein. You can have a good amount of protein. You can have high amounts of protein if you want. You simply need enough fat in there to balance it out, because this is like for any of you who have done coding or any sort of online programming, there's a series of if-then statements and the logic that follows, right? So when we're talking about keto and low fat, well, if you have low fat, you don't have any energy, okay? Your body wants either carbs or fat for energy, and if you're doing keto, that means you've picked fat as your primary energy source. Your body doesn't care which one it has as long as you're giving it enough, which is why I always tell people, even if you're not going to do keto, don't gray zone it. Don't go low carb without going keto. Either go keto or eat your carbs and give yourself enough of them, because you have to pick one energy source and give your body an adequate amount of it. So when we're talking about the if-then statements, if you're not eating enough fat, you don't have enough energy, and your body is then going to convert protein when it's in excess to sugar, and that's where it's going to try to get the easiest energy. Because if you're eating only protein shakes all day, for example, and chicken breast, and then a bit of fiber and a small amount of cheese or something like that, right? Not to roast this person, because I appreciate them giving me a great video idea, but when we're talking about eating only protein in a low carb state, not only are you not adapted to keto, so your body's not going to be, feeling like running on fat, at the same time you're giving it protein, which it can convert into sugar more easily. It can convert protein through gluconeogenesis into sugar. And especially if you're eating a large amount of that protein, you'll be giving your body plenty of sugar to work with. It's just simply going to take an extra step to get there. And you're also going to feel very hungry in the midst of all this because of all the jacked up insulin spikes from the whey protein. And at the same time, you don't have any fat to slow that digestion and blunt the insulin response, which will, make you hungrier and also keep you, on this rapid blood sugar spike, which makes, or volatility, which makes it, less maintainable. And at the same time as lowering your rate of fat loss. So it's more about getting this balance of protein and fat, because if you have too little fat, you're not getting enough energy. And if you have too little fat, it probably means you have too much protein. Or if you have enough fat and enough protein, you're fine. But if you have a load of protein, but not enough fat, you're basically saying to your body, here, let's just survive till tomorrow and turn this into the quickest thing possible, sugar, right? That's what you're sending the message to your body. If you're eating high amounts of fat and protein, you're not going to be sending that message. At least there's not going to be as high of a demand for that. Additionally, because the absence of fat amplifies the weight loss halting effects of high protein, right? Now, like I said, protein in excess is not necessarily a problem unless it is imbalancing these ratios of fat to protein. Now, what's the optimal ratio? I'm not going to tell you exactly a pinpoint number because everybody's slightly different, but somewhere between 20 and 30 tends to do it for people when we're talking about fat, and when we're talking about protein, and when we're talking about fat, it's going to be anywhere from 60 to 80. You don't need to have 80. You don't need to have 20 protein. These are just myths that people throw out because it's the mainstream, watering down of keto. So essentially from there, you don't need to throttle your protein. It's not a low protein diet. It's not a high fat diet, but it's also not a high protein diet nor a low fat diet. So you want to be balanced in between, and the only thing you're omitting completely is carbohydrates. You're only getting them from greens and fibrous vegetables. So, if you are somebody who is doing keto, don't ignore the fat. The reason why I have a free meal guide in the description, right? I have a free meal guide completely free in the description, and the reason why it's set up the way it is because I've set that meal guide up so that it helps people get off on the right foot with starting a ketogenic diet, because oftentimes people will try to, oh, I'm just not eating carbs and I'll just eat this chicken breast. There's no carbs there. Yes, but if you get more balanced, example, fish, right, for lunch instead of chicken breast, now you're getting that slow release of protein, which is going to be very conducive to fat burning. You're also getting that satiety and that energy from the fat. And in general, you're satiating yourself until the next few meals better. And you're not creating any excess blood glucose. You're also not creating any shortage of energy as fuel. And nor are you putting any other demands on your body to produce sugar through gluconeogenesis. So, even though it's not a demand-driven process. So, or sorry, supply-driven process. So, when we're talking about where you should set up your keto diet, look to that meal guide, okay? It's a fantastic way to set things up, and it's not based on a specific calorie number or a specific macro number, but it's meant to do things in balance. This is why you can do things based on results or based on inputs, right? Based on processes or results, inputs or outputs. And a lot of people just say, oh, hit this macro ratio. But it's like, okay, maybe instead of hitting this macro ratio for the day, try to hit a balance of this amount of fat and protein per meal, right? That's kind of what you want to aim for. That will keep you fuller in the grand scheme of things. So, in general, even if you didn't want to, like this person didn't want to have too much beef or fish or something like that, a lot of people do have problems, allergies to what the beef might have been fed, right? Corn and soy, and people don't know these things. And also some people have allergies to certain types of dairy, right? And they have to admit those things. But overall, you will always benefit from getting these animal products from grass-fed, pasture-raised sources, antibiotic, hormone-free. It's better for you. It's better for the environment. You know, you're also, if you're somebody who's not inclined to do this, there are other options, right? I've had vegetarians who eat, you know, high quality eggs, and that keeps them set with everything they need. So in general, what you want to shoot for is a balance. No matter how you get it, get the balance of protein and fat, and don't just tip the scales on the end of protein. Now, that other video I have on the lean protein lie explains much more of the science behind this. But as far as those of you who are doing ketogenic diet for practical fat loss purposes, you don't want to do it the bodybuilder classic, you know, protein shake at every meal type of way, because, pun intended, because that's just going to throw you off. It's going to keep your blood insulin going up and down. You're going to be hungry. You're going to go to bed hungry. You're not going to have mental fluidity, and you're not going to feel good. You're going to be irritable. You can add on the list, because it's going to prevent your body from getting into a deep state of ketosis, which ironically, if you had then started doing more protein or an imbalance of protein, your body would be able to adjust to. It's simply that starting off on this foot is something your body is not prepared to do. It's prepared to revert back to a carb metabolism in such a case, which again, like I said, that is the area where you feel the most like shit, because your body wants a fuel source. It wants fat or it wants carb, and you gotta pick one. Don't go in between. That's it for this video. Leave me some comments, you know, I'll answer any questions, but make sure you subscribe to me right now and like the video right now, and stay tuned for the other, you know, projects I'm putting out, these programs, also some free ebooks I'm working on soon for people, in addition to the free guide and free training guide I have. But beyond that, go to my website, romanoketo.com, if you want personal coaching, and thank you again for watching. Peace.